Hey everybody, Mark Quinn from Dos Marcos Podcast here at PrimeTime in Houston, Texas. And we have Megann McDaniel, Director of Financial Services. Welcome.
Welcome.
How's it going? You having a good show?
I'm having a great show.
Good.
It's great. It's great to be here.
Good to see the members.
Yeah.
A lot of people here.
My favorite part is it feels like a family reunion. I've been with Nationwide 19 years, and so I've created a lot of relationships here, and it's almost like coming home twice a year. Seeing all my
so how long have you been here at PrimeTime or at Nationwide?
19 years.
19 years, a long time.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of friends then.
I do. About 4,000 of my closest friends here today.
That's good. Well, good. And we'll get right into it. And I know there's a lot of stuff that members out there want to hear from you on. So let's get started. First of all, tell us a little bit about the financial services that you are managing right now for all the members out there.
Okay. I currently manage all of the credit card processing, lease to own, and bank installment loan programs for Nationwide Marketing Group.
Okay, great. And I know that there's some programs out there that are really good for people, and I want to ask you about that. So why should the Nationwide members consider offering lease to own or bank installment loans for their customers? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you some statistics that most people maybe aren't aware of, and it might be surprising. So the average consumer, about 50% of consumers are graded as sub or near prime with their credit scores, and the average American has less than $400 in their bank account. And actually, when asked how many people could afford a $1,000 unexpected expense out of pocket, 69% of Americans could not pay for that without having to take out credit or a loan. And that's actually up. The year before is at 58%. So going from 58 to 69 just in a year tells you there's a great need.
That's
right?
a massive jump, 10, 11 points.
Right.
Like, what do you think the cause of that is?
Well, I can tell you 75% of Americans live from paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
I think people are over leveraged. I think wages, are staying similar. Cost of goods are going up. That actually kind of transitions into, for a retailer, the two biggest complaints I hear is getting foot traffic, getting customers in the door, and cost of business. The cost of business is going up, and their revenues are going down. So by adding LTO and bank installment loans, you open up to a whole nother customer base. If half of Americans are sub or near prime credit, you've now expanded your customer base, but also the cost on our programs, only on our programs, the dealer cost is 0% with a 1% rebate. So your cost of offering that product to the customer is nothing. You actually get a rebate back. So when you look at needing more customers and needing to save money, it's truly a win-win for a retailer.
So it really does enable that consumer who is living paycheck, which you said is a majority of the people out there.
75% of Americans.
It gives them an opportunity to buy something necessary to sustain a good lifestyle for themselves.
Correct. And actually, it's not just people with bad credit.
Right.
I know a lot of times people think it's called a no credit needed option because also people with no credit. So 58% of millennials have been denied a line of credit in the last year. So it's not just people that have had bad experiences. Sometimes you're just new to the credit game. Millennials traditionally have been kind of credit averse. They haven't had a lot of credit card debt that they've run up like previous generations. So they're just getting into the game and they just don't have the credit. So they're needing a no credit option to help establish their credit.
That's a great point. And it's important, maybe millennials have not understood how important it is to establish it, even for things going forward, home purchases or any of those things. Well, thank you for the clarification. So have any of the vendors that you work with changed anything from 2019 to 2020? And if so, Megan, what are those changes and are they good or bad for the Nationwide members?
Okay. There's been a lot of changes. This space has seen a lot of changes in the last year, but since the last PrimeTime, the two most significant changes are American First Finance was a new vendor at the last show, and beginning in January, they started offering a 1% rebate. Previously, they did not. They had a 0% dealer cost, but they did not offer a rebate to the dealer. Effective January 1, all volume processed with American First Finance has a 1% rebate. And secondly, one of my other LTO vendors is UOWN, and there was a major announcement that was announced 2 days before PrimeTime. They have combined forces with a competitor, and now they have access to a whole big bunch of cash. So they're going to be able to fund quicker, write more business, help our members grow their portfolio. But even more exciting is the company they merged with was really high into the technology sector, so they offer a true e-commerce ability, so the customer can go in, apply for the line of credit, actually make the purchase online and never have to go into the store, as well as the text to apply and iPad applications. So we'll see great technology enhancements from UOWN, as well as the ability to do more business for our retailers.
That's really good stuff. Simplifying the process and making it easy for people to access is such a big deal, and we see it over and over. And that's when you get paid, when you can make it quicker or simplify it for the consumer. So, is it changing faster, your space, than ever before? Is it just a dynamic space to be in? And if so, why are there so many changes happening right now?
I think in general business is changing at a faster pace. The world is changing at a faster pace. My space has definitely seen a lot of changes in a little bit of time. In the last 8 months, 4 of the 8 vendors that I manage have either been acquired or acquired a major entity.
So consolidation.
That's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of consolidation.
So do you view the consolidation to be a good thing or a bad thing for people like Nationwide members? And I guess it depends on who's acquiring who, right? But
right.
You have a general sense of that?
I would say that it's a case-by-case situation. So, for example, with UOWN, that was a great opportunity for Nationwide. It's going to allow better technology. It's going to allow access to more money. For Payrock, our credit card processor that was acquired, they now have a division in Canada. So we have Cantrex. So now Cantrex has an opportunity to partner with one of our credit card processors that otherwise they would not have had. So sometimes the mergers can create just less options in the space. In a space like credit cards, it's getting very thin in terms of how many people are really in the space. So it's getting where there's a few really big players. The lease-to-own space is smaller. There's more opportunity for those mergers and acquisitions to happen, and it not to have quite the impact that it would have in something as big as credit card processing.
So, just a side question on that. Nationwide's so big, and you have so much buying power. Like, can you put it in perspective for the members who may not be that aware? Like, how big is it, right? Like, how big is Nationwide for them? And just give them some kind of perspective to compare it to.
Yeah. So it's significant. The programs that we put together, there is no way they could get on their own. For example, one of the programs I brought on last show was Cornerstone. And when you compare their standard program against the Nationwide program, there's no comparison. The cost to the customer is lower. The cost to the retailer is lower. There are unique benefits such as marketing credits. There are things that the retailer would not get if they were not with Nationwide. Our American Express program is priced on having a minimum of $500 million a year being processed under a program. We collectively aggregate our volume and get a rate based on that. I don't think there's many retailers here that just on Amex are doing more than $500 million a year. So just having that size and that ability to go to the vendor and to negotiate programs for over 4,000 retailers doing the amount of volume that we do, it creates programs that otherwise just would not be available.
And based on what you said, it's so critical because people are living hand to mouth more than ever before. So that's why this part of any retailer's business is so important to focus on.
Right. And just also, our retailers can't stay on top of these changes, so that's part of what we do as well. We help make sure they're aware these changes have happened. We educate them on these changes. We work with the vendors to make sure it has the least amount of negative impact on our members and the greatest positive impact when possible. So we work with the vendors to make sure that we're always doing everything we can to make any changes good for our dealers and keeping them abreast of all the changes in the industry.
I love the fact that you've been with Nationwide 19 years and you know so many people, and just to know that you are an advocate for every single Nationwide member out there and you're looking out for their interests. I think that's really cool, mostly since you know the industry so well. So just a couple other quick things. What makes PrimeTime such a great place to explore new opportunities for financial services?
So there's a couple things.
Like being here physically, right?
Right.
I mean,
so this industry is a relationship-based industry, right? So the programs that I've put together within the lease-to-own space, for example, are very similar, very similar. There are some differences, but very similar. I always encourage my members to go by the booth, meet the team, because the people here are the people you're going to be doing business with and dealing with. some people blend better with different personalities.
Right.
So if the programs are very comparable, you need to meet the team. You need to see what's a best fit for you. Who do you think that you're going to enjoy doing business with? Who do you think you're going to work well with? But as well, sometimes like a bank installment loan, that's a little different product. It's a similar customer base, but it's slightly different product. And for a retailer that might know a lot about mattresses, they may not know a lot about like installment loans.
Sure.
So they can sit down with the vendor and they can break it down for them in just a couple seconds of how it works. So you can come here and learn more about the products, but I also think it's so critical to come here and meet the people that are behind the company, because this is a relationship-based industry.
It's such a good point. We're in the digital age, and going online and looking at a screen is easy to do, but there's so much value in being here, shaking someone's hand,
Right.
being able to have dialogue, ask questions. I think that's a great answer. And as we close up, I have a question for you on a personal note.
Okay.
So just out of my own curiosity, you've been with Nationwide so long. What is it for you? Like what keeps you here? And what is it about this group and these people that give you purpose in terms of what you do and the fight that you have every day to really represent all these great members? Like why? Why do you do it?
It's a great question. So part of the answer is the relationships. I've built a tremendous amount of relationships in this industry, and I really feel like some of these people are my friends as much as my family. But I really believe in supporting local and independents. So where I live in Shreveport, Louisiana, it's a small town, but I go to the local coffee shop. I go to the local fitness center. I go to the local grocery store. And I feel like we need to support locals, right? Like it's a completely different experience if you go to Conn's versus if you go to Ivan Smith, right? So I truly believe that you have to have independents. They know your community, they care about your community, they sponsor the T-ball games, as you hear, but I love knowing that I'm out there fighting for programs that keep our independents independent and allows them to stay in our community and to have people that you recognize at your local grocery store. So I really do have a true love for serving the average American. I come from a small town. A lot of us were blue collar. We knew all our neighbors, and this feels like an industry that really fights for those type of people.
You know, my experience, I haven't been around Nationwide for a long period of time, but I started a company. I have so much respect for people that have worked that life and built businesses in their local community.
Yeah.
It takes a tremendous amount of effort, courage, determination, persistence. So I get what you're saying, and I love them too. I think it's so important that we in this country support the independent retailer, and you can tell that you're not just doing a job, you are really connected to the people here and to the members and the purpose of it all. So I love that about you.
Thank you.
And thanks for spending some time with us.
It was my pleasure.